The Farmer's Clever Rescue. Once upon a time in a sunny, green countryside, there lived two farmers who were not just hardworking but also a little bit silly, Mia and her younger brother Leo. These siblings loved life on their farm. Every day, they planted seeds, watered crops, and cared for their animals, all while singing cheerful songs like, "Grow little plants, up you go. We'll make you strong so you can glow." Their farm wasn't just a place of work, it was magical in its own way. There were colorful vegetables, golden wheat fields, and even a funny-looking scarecrow called Mr. Scary. Mr. Scary didn't look very scary at all. He wore an oversized purple hat, a patched-up jacket, and boots that were 2 sizes too big. But the children from the local village adored him. Mia and Leo always welcomed children to their farm to play, laugh, and enjoy the little stories they told about their adventures. Life couldn't have been more perfect, until one summer when things suddenly got tricky. One warm summer afternoon, while Mia and Leo were picking fresh vegetables, they noticed something strange in the sky. Leo squinted and asked, "Mia, why does that cloud look like it's buzzing?" Mia used her hand to shield her eyes and gasped. "Oh no, Leo. That's not a cloud. That's a swarm of locusts." Locusts are small, hungry bugs that travel in huge groups, feasting on plants wherever they go. Mia and Leo looked worriedly at their beautiful crops below. "If those locusts get here," said Mia, "they'll eat all our vegetables and wheat." But Leo frowned, crossing his arms. "We can't hurt those poor little critters," he said. "They're just trying to eat like everyone else." Mia nodded in agreement. "You're right, Leo. We have to protect our crops and the locusts. It's time to get clever." The sibling farmers plopped down on the grass under the shady old tree and began thinking. "What keeps bugs away without hurting them?" asked Leo as he twirled a blade of grass. "What if we scared them away?" Mia suggested. "Not with traps or sprays, but with noisy, flashy things. Bugs don't like too much noise or movement." Leo jumped up, excited. "That's it. Let's make our farm so lively that the locusts will say, 'Nope, too much fun here,' and fly away." The duo high-fived and sprang into action, gathering supplies for their grand plan. First, they decided to give old Mr. Scary a makeover. "Mr. Scary, your big moment has arrived," cheered Mia, fitting him with a pair of sparkly sunglasses. They added a tambourine to one of his arms, which jingled each time the wind blew. Leo giggled and tied colorful scarves around Mr. Scary's neck. "There! Now he's fabulous and functional." Next, they created giant kites shaped like eagles and hawks to fly above the fields. Mia carefully painted black tips on the wings while Leo added shiny ribbons to flutter in the wind. "And what about sound?" Leo asked. Together, they gathered empty bottles, old tins, and strings to make clinky wind chimes and rattling decorations. When they finished, they hung the noisy contraptions all around the farm. By the end of the day, their farm looked like a carnival. Kites danced in the wind, ribbons shimmered in the sun, and Mr. Scary stood proudly in his corner, ready to jingle his tambourine. The next morning, just as the sun rose, the locust swarm appeared, buzzing like 1,000 tiny motors. Mia and Leo stood side by side, holding their breath as the swarm approached. The locusts were heading straight for their beautiful crops. But as the hungry bugs reached the farm, something amazing happened. The giant, bird-shaped kites flapped their wings, making the locusts think predators were nearby. The shiny ribbons reflected the sunlight, dazzling their buggy eyes. And then came the noise, jingling tambourines, rattling tins, and clinking wind chimes filled the air. It was like an outdoor concert. The locusts froze, unsure of where to go. "The plan is working," cheered Leo, waving his arms in delight. Mia laughed and clapped her hands. Confused and dazzled, the locusts decided this was not a comfortable place to eat. Instead, they followed their buzzing leaders away from the noisy farm and over to a big, green meadow nearby. The meadow was like a giant buffet just for them, filled with wild plants and grass, not crops. The locusts happily settled there without bothering Mia and Leo's farm again. With the locust threat gone, Mia and Leo high-fived each other. "You were brilliant, Leo," said Mia. "And you were so creative, Mia," replied her brother. The farm was safe, and the siblings got straight to work organizing a feast to celebrate. They invited all the villagers, especially the children, to come and enjoy the freshly harvested crops. That evening, the farm buzzed with laughter and joy as tables were piled high with delicious food, roasted corn, vegetable stew, and fresh bread. To teamwork and creativity, toasted Mia, raising her glass of fresh lemonade. The star of the celebration, however, was none other than Mr. Scary. The children laughed and danced around him, shaking his tambourine for fun. "Mr. Scary, you saved the farm," joked Leo as he placed a shiny medal made out of tin foil around the scarecrow's neck. Everyone cheered for their dazzling, jingly hero. As the celebrations died down and the stars twinkled in the night sky, Mia and Leo shared their story with the villagers. "We learned something important," said Mia. "Problems can be solved without hurting anyone, as long as you think cleverly." Leo added, "And sometimes, you just have to work with nature instead of fighting it." The villagers nodded, smiling at how the siblings had shown kindness even in a tough situation. Meanwhile, in the cozy meadow, the locusts were buzzing happily as they enjoyed their new source of food. It turns out, everyone had a full belly that day. As the villagers left the farm and the animals snuggled into their beds, Mia and Leo looked out at their fields, now peaceful under the moonlight. They held hands and smiled. "We make a great team," they said in unison. The next morning, the siblings were back to work planting seeds and humming their cheerful farm song, ready for the adventures of another day. And so, the story of how two clever farmers saved their crops, and their new buggy friends, remains a favorite tale for all the children in the countryside. And don't forget, kids, the next time you face a challenge, don't panic. With kindness, teamwork, and a touch of creativity, you can solve problems in a way that's fair and fun for everyone. Just like Mia and Leo.